Pass It On podcast, a very special edition today. The LaLanne Pass It On podcast is about talking to people who are impacting the world by passing on Jack's message of helping people help themselves through diet and exercise. And we've got a special guest today, Elaine. What do you think?
Yeah, I heard we have a special guest, and guess what else I heard?
What'd you hear?
I heard he worked out at the LaLanne gym when
No.
he was going to college.
This guy?
Yeah.
Does he even work out?
So doesn't he
That
look
is
like
true.
He looks like a hey.
He looks. Jack, if Jack were alive, hey, looks like you work out.
I need to work out with Jack. I want to work out
Well,
with
let's
Jack.
tell him who it is.
Okay, hey, you know what? Our special guest today, he is a friend, a mentor, a business partner. He's just an all-around good guy, a wonderful friend to both you and me.
That's right.
This is Mr. Impact
And
himself.
he loves life.
And he
I
loves,
love
and I
it.
have a feeling before the end of this podcast, we're going to do some flexing. She'll outflex us all.
Yes,
But hey,
you will.
I want to welcome my good friend, our good friend, Todd Durkin. Hey,
Wow,
great to have
Greg,
you,
thank
man.
you.
Great to have you.
Elaine, it's great to be in
Yeah.
your home, Elaine.
Give us
I love
a
you.
scoop on now. This one working out
Hey,
at Jack.
that is a true story. I grew up in Brick, New Jersey, where just a half a mile away from the high school where I went to school and played sports, there was a gym called Jack LaLanne's Gym.
Yeah.
And I became a gym rat early on in my life because Jack LaLanne's Gym was where everyone went to work out.
Yeah.
And it was fitness, it was racquetball, it was nutrition.
Yeah.
It was right next to the Ocean Ice Palace, so there was hockey and there was the gym, and I loved it. And all throughout high school and college, until I left for college, when I would come home from college, I'd always work out at Jack LaLanne's on Chambers Bridge Road.
There's a whole
Brick,
bunch
New
of them
Jersey.
in New Jersey
Oh.
and in New York.
Absolutely, they were all over the place. I was proud to be a member of Jack LaLanne's Gym.
Oh, God bless you.
And that goes back a few years, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
that goes back.
That was in the
70s.
That
I
was in
think.
the 80s. That was the late 80s,
Yeah.
starting in the mid 80s, and that's when I started working out. I was a freshman in high school, and I started working out there and playing racquetball and lifting weights and running. They had a track. It was awesome.
Oh man,
Oh,
that's
that's
so
great.
cool. That's so cool. Hey, this guy has built a brand around impact.
I know.
Impact.
I know. Everybody knows him. I mean, if you don't know him, you better learn. We're
Yeah.
going to learn more
Oh, yeah.
about him now.
Yeah, we're going to learn all. The cool thing is Todd has such a history in the industry. He's done so much already, and the best thing about it, Elaine, is he's just getting started. He's got some amazing projects in the works. We're going to talk about as many of those as he wants to talk about. He's got a new book. He's got so many amazing new products and projects going. And I just want to open it up and talk to you about what you've got going on and how you're impacting millions around the world.
Well, thank you, Greg and Elaine. I guess I'd start with this. This workout, this whole day started before this podcast episode with a workout at the legendary gym right here at Elaine's home. And it was just surreal. Again, I've been here before. We've worked out here before. But I was just telling my son Brady, who's in the house, how special it is to work out in Elaine and Jack's home in the gym where some of the original equipment, as someone who's been in the fitness industry now for 25 plus years, I honor and respect where it all started. And to work on that equipment and train and work out with you, Greg,
awesome.
this morning and get a pump in.
Yeah.
And listen, we talked about it. We were talking as Jack's quote, right? Your health account and your bank account are the same thing. The more you invest in, the more you can take out.
Yeah.
And it always starts with health. And this is what we've been preaching for, 98 years, right? and between all of us, a couple hundred years.
At least.
When I was born, I was working out.
Yeah.
My mother said I was born smiling.
Hey, that's a great.
So-
I was
great.
working out my smile.
I want to honor that before the interview today. It's just that it's truly it was awesome to get in the gym here and work out, because the days that start with a great workout are better days. And we need that physically, mentally, emotionally, and truly an honor to be here today and talk about all the things. As much as you guys want to talk about everything going on, I'm an open book.
Yeah. Well, let's start with let's start with your latest book, a brand new book coming out. And I'm going to do a little visual. I think this is really a great
Where did you get that? Where'd you get that?
This is Jack's. You know, he probably felt like at times he was carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders because he was reaching millions of people around the world, lifting them up and sharing the message of good nutrition and exercise. Now, there was a time for you, Todd, where I know you felt the weight of the world on your shoulders. And COVID was one of those times. And you helped so many people through your Good News Network, where you took the weight of the world on your shoulders and uplifted people, not just around California, not just around the U.S., but around the world. And again, I think this is just such a great visual of probably what you were feeling at the time, and now what has led to this amazing new book called True Strength. Talk to us about that experience.
That's deep. And first, I want to make sure I know everyone had a challenging time during the COVID pandemic time, and in each and every life that's out there, and there were many lives lost. We all have our own stories. We all have our own journeys. For myself, it was a time of complete adrenaline to save the world, and as a leader and someone who thrives under pressure, this is a time for me. I actually, in the beginning, I don't want to say I enjoyed it, but I thrived in the opportunity to give back and serve because I knew that people were being demolished. Gyms were being demolished. Gyms were closed. People were like getting all political, and I'm like, just guys, we got to make sure physically and mentally we stay, in tune with our best practices. And interesting enough, Greg, as a man of faith, it's interesting how things work because I really did pour my heart and soul, and 7 days a week, round the clock, I was on a mission. And this is 20 years into my brick and mortar gym at the time, Fitness Quest 10. And we gave a lot and a lot and a lot. But to make a long story short, what I share in True Strength, the book, which is all about adversity and challenge, is I went through a time of serving and serving and serving 7 days a week with the Good News Network and going live every day at 12 noon and that, which I loved to do. But it got to a point where I was so emotionally drained and burnt out that I wouldn't take a day off. You know? And that's not a good thing.
No.
It's not a good thing to not take a day off. But I was so driven to change people. And every day in my DMs of Instagram, there were people who were thanking me because they were thinking about doing some bad things to themselves. So I was getting so much feedback that I couldn't stop because I'm like, if I stop, someone dies. So in that time, in a lot of ways, I was dying because I was giving and giving, and then my back everything started hurting. I had 9 months into the pandemic, I had my second knee replacement. My body was falling apart. 6 weeks after my knee replacement, my back goes out, which led me down a very deep, dark road of darkness, of trying to figure this out, but not tell the world, because God forbid if Mr. Get Your Mind Right, his mind not right, then how do I save people? And this was a 2020, 21, and into 2022 of all of these different aspects of pain. And I know pain because that's what ended my football career when I was just 25 years old. And it reared its ugly head. And it was a very, very dark time. Very dark time.
Well, you've come through with flying colors, you know, because you're determined. Determined. And you weren't going to let that get you down. You either go up or you either go down.
Yep.
And so you came to the point where I either got to accept it, I've got to go forward, or I'm going to have a pity party for myself.
Yeah.
So Todd, where do you feel like the lowest of the low? Where were you with the lowest of the lows? And then what was the trigger? What flipped the switch to get going toward the other side?
Yeah. There were two really, really low lows, right? And it's interesting because no one, myself included, wants to go through tough times. We all do. We don't want to go through the hard times. In retrospect, it's always those times that if and when you get through them, or you're going through them now, is when you look back with pure gratitude of like what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Not only with the book and that, it's really what's coming up next after the book, but the lowest of low times was after my back went out and I couldn't work out. When I say I couldn't work out, I work out most days of the week. I couldn't sleep. I was only on my left side with a pillow between my knees. I couldn't walk to the mailbox to get, I was in bad shape. Back brace around my back, trying to train people because that was the only life that it gave me life. And then the lowest of lows was when I had my 7th doctor, finally a back deformity specialist, tell me I needed a 14-hour surgery. And
oh my gosh.
14 hours.
14 hours?
Yeah, and you don't want to see a back deformity specialist. There's back specialists, and then if the back specialist can't see you, they send you to the one back deformity specialist. And when he told me I needed a 14-hour surgery and he needed to reconstruct my back from T12 to S1 and what they had to do to put 4 rods in it and all of the things, I'm thinking, my life is over. Like, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to reach 10 million people, and I don't know where I'm at, but it's just to me that like I got to keep serving. I got to keep serving. The low was that day, right after the meeting. Thank God, my wife Melanie was in the car. I'll never forget this, but I literally cried like a baby, and I was like, "It's over. It's over." I don't know.
Let everything out.
I let it out.
Then you made a decision.
Yeah. Well, I let it all out, and I flooded Melanie with so much, I'll say, negativity or just reality of where my mind was at. I'm like, I'm hearing my life flash before me because I was signing documents potentially that this serious surgery, any surgery is serious, but I'm thinking, I didn't even know you could do a 14-hour surgery. It's over 2 days. Yeah. 7 hours one day, 7 hours the next. And I'm listening to this, and I see the book that I got to sign with my life, that my life is in grave danger in this surgery because of, well, it's a 14-hour surgery and it's very delicate and you're dealing with your spine. I went out in that car and cried, and she let me air it out for a few minutes, and she finally said, "Stop, time out. Listen, everything you've been preaching for 25 years, it's now coming to a head. Maybe God didn't have it for you to reach 10 million people." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Maybe it's not 10 million. Maybe it's 100 million. I'm like, I didn't want to hear it. She's going off it. Maybe God's got a plan not just to help trainers and coaches and fit pros. Maybe it's to help people who are mentally ill, people who are physically injured and hurt. It's not just health and fitness, but it's mindset and soul set and all the things that you're about." And I remember I'm listening to her, knowing she was right. I said, "Stop. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it." Because I didn't. Because I knew she was right. But I was so in pain and so thinking, how am I going to get through this time? I don't know if I'm going to get through this time. The doctors tell me it's going to take 1 to 2 years to get back to where I feel like me again. And I was like, I don't have 1 to 2 years. So that was a really low. Yeah. And it took a lot of time to process that.
But Jack, he wanted to get to the math. He's like you. I want to tell everybody what I know.
Yes.
I want to tell everybody what I know. And see, that's the same mindset he had, but it came to a head with you, and you either had to face it or not.
Yep.
Well, and I think this is an important emphasis here because, and I know, Elaine, that you were a powerhouse in Jack's life.
Yep.
And probably had to drive him forward occasionally.
Well,
and the importance of
where
what
you're going.
Melanie did for Todd at that time
But
was to get him back on the right path,
They're
the
a team.
mindset.
Amen.
Their team.
If you cannot be a team, and you cannot be afraid, people used to ask us, how do you get along? What?
Yeah.
He's my friend. I don't get mad at my friend,
Yep.
So if you look at your relationship as a friend, not only a relationship, but a friendship.
Yes.
Yeah. For the first time, I always felt like I was the strong one in the relationship. For the first time, I felt like I was putting, not my tail between my legs, but I was so internally searching for strength that I leaned on her more than ever. Because even though it came to a head, it really hadn't yet. Because it got worse. And there was one more time, about 3 months later, going through this process and dealing with pain and injections and stem cells and I was trying to do everything. But I mean, when the doctor said and asked me, did you serve in Afghanistan? I said, no. I wish I could say I did. He said, because it looks like a grenade went off in your back. I was in Mexico.
I saw the picture. My gosh.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's a mess.
It's
a mess and a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess and a mess.
A massive mess.
Right. It's funny now, but I was, my son Luke, my oldest son, was just graduating from high school, and it was 2020, tail end of 2021, and they always do this senior trip, which they were all going to Mexico, and I did not want to go. I refused to go, and they said, listen, you as a father need to go.
So you went.
So I went, and I couldn't go. I couldn't walk. I was popping, you name it. Besides ibuprofen, I was the doctor had given me Vicodin again, and I hadn't taken Vicodin in 25 years, and now next thing I know, in Mexico. Well, one night in Mexico, and they're all having fun and at the pool, and I'm like in the room on my bed, with my legs up. That night at 2:36 in the morning, I woke up with a pain in my back that I had never felt before, and I felt a lot of pain in my life, and I'm talking back pain, 5 concussions, you name it, I felt pain. I crawled to the floor. I'll never forget, I'm in Mexico, crawled on the marble floor. I'm in a ball, in a fetal position, crying. Melanie hears me. I said, take me to the ER. She said, we can't go to the ER, we're in Mexico. I'm like, I don't care, take me to the ER, I need surgery. I need it. She's like, we can't get surgery in Mexico. I'm like, I had hit the low of lows. I'm on a floor in Mexico. It's a marble floor. It's middle of the night. I'm sweating. I'm in pain. I literally that day was out. Like, it was so bad that I prayed that day, like, God, if you need to take me, take me. Because if you don't, please help me. Like, I was broken. And again, I was always already a man of faith, but I was broken beyond broken physically. When you're physically broken, even though I'm the mindset guy, I was battling to do everything mentally to try to get my mind right, but physically I was in so much pain. And that was like the low of lows of the physical pain. Because when you're physically that much pain.
So did she take you to the hospital or what?
Nope. She refused. She did what you would have done. She said, we're not going. And I needed someone that strong to say that because I was so vulnerable.
You grinned and bared it then, right?
I did. And I don't know how, other than I remember her holding my hand, and I don't know what medications kicked in or whatnot. But it's interesting. And I believe now that was really like God's way to break me.
I was just going to tell you, that was God's way of doing it.
You got it.
Yeah.
Listen, I had always been able to physically or mentally plow through anything, and I had given it all up. I said, I'm all yours.
See, that's what it is all about. It's not giving up.
That's it.
You think that if Jack gave up, in those swims, he would never have made it. And I never gave up.
That's right.
I mean, I'm still not going to give up.
You're 98 years young. You're still going. I'm
not going to give up. I got a bad leg and I got
right.
Can't see, can't hear. But I'm not giving up, and I got a bigger computer. I got a bigger letters.
Adapt and overcome.
Yes.
There's always a way.
Yes.
Always.
Right?
Yes. Always. And it takes time, it takes patience, but to answer your question, those were the two low points. And just to fast forward, after it wound up being years of pain and going through this and not wanting to tell anyone because I didn't want to become my pain. Hey, Todd, how's your back? How's your back? How's your knee? How's your knee? I become my physical pain, and I'm like, I'm this person. I'm this being.
Right.
So people are like, wait a second, but you produced all this stuff and created all this stuff during the time you had new groups and new planners. Yeah, because that was my healing. I was healing by creating.
You were impacted with healing.
Exactly, and part of it was my own. It was for my own healing, was to create and give back and hear the feedback, because that's like the only thing that was bringing me joy at the time, because I was creating. So yes, how do you get out of the pain? Well, it ended up being 3.5 years of pain. Wow. Literally 3.5 years of pain. In May of 2023, I was completely exhausted, burnout after 2020, 21, 22, and 2023. And I was shot energetically. I'm shot. I'm trying to do everything I can. My pain has subsided, but I'm exhausted. And I studied Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill actually took a decade off prior to World War II. And I didn't know this, but someone had clued me in. I started studying him, that he went into the fields and started working with his hands, because working with your hands is tremendously therapeutic when you can connect with earth. And as a massage therapist in the 90s, I knew that. I knew the power of the touch and the hands. I'm thinking, man, maybe I need like a long sabbatical. Not 10 years, but maybe I need a year of sabbatical and just shut down the world and try to really fuel my own being. And what ended up happening was I had gone to a workshop down in Nashville, Tennessee, and I had been in there at a very small group, and this doctor was there, and she had heard my story because I had written it out, and she said, hey, I think I know what's going on with you. I'm like, I've been to 14 different doctors, and here's number 15. I'm not sure you're going to be able to help me. And she says, she looks at me real inquisitively. She looks at my ears. She asks me to stick out my tongue. She looks at my neck. She asked me the size of my neck. I'm like, what is she doing? And she says, oh, you have sleep apnea. I'm like, sleep apnea? That's sleep apnea. Oh, sleep apnea is for old guys. I don't have sleep apnea. She's like, no, I'm telling you, you do. I'm like, she goes, has your wife ever told you stop breathing in the middle of the night? I'm like, well, she's told me that, but I just respond like I'm trying to be quiet and respectful. And she says, no, you have sleep apnea. You go home and get tested back to San Diego. And sure enough, May of 2023, I get tested. And they told me that one night, for the 6 hours and 10 minutes I had slept, that I had stopped breathing 120 times that night.
Wow.
For 20 to 52
seconds. Took you all that time to find out.
20 to 52 seconds per episode.
Wow.
I'm like, wait, I stopped breathing for 120 times for 20 to 52 seconds? I said, how's that possible? He said, because you have sleep apnea and you've had it for years. So all the fighting you're doing, all of the save the world stuff you're doing, all of the everything you're doing, the reason why you wake up and you think to yourself, oh man, I can't wait to go back to bed. Because for the first time in my life, the last couple of years previously, I was like, I'm exhausted. What time can I go back to sleep tonight? But I would do what you're supposed to do. Yep. Get up, work out, have some caffeine, suck it up and go. But I'm spiraling down further and further and further. And what happens is when he diagnosed me with that, I'm like, thank God I have an answer to why I feel like I do. Right. Because I can't recover. I can't recover.
Once we get an answer, we can go.
That's it. Idea World last year, 2023, was the first time I was driving up there. I had slept with that darn CPAP machine for the first time, and let me tell you what. This is. I humbly say this. I said to myself, "Thank God, I'm back. I am back. I hadn't felt like me in probably 5 to 10 years. I hadn't felt like me." And I was like, it's back on.
Lack of sleep.
Yeah. Well, it was lack of sleep on top of everything. On top of everything. Yeah. It was, I had a knee surgery. Surgery, as you know, it takes the wind out of your sails. So the healing that has to happen. But I wasn't sleeping. My back pain. It was a train wreck. It'd be hard enough if you are sleeping. Wasn't sleeping. Yeah. The stress and the pandemic and save the gym. Yeah. I had sold Fitness Quest 10. I brought my business partner Jeff Bristol into the mix. Because why? because I thought I was done.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to die. And I'm thinking to myself, if I die, I got to have everything lined up.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't tell anybody. And when I got that diagnosis, I was like, oh, it really is just getting started.
Did you start thinking about writing a book about it?
Not then. Not then, because I was still trying to heal myself.
Right.
And I realized from May to, let's say, August, that I was trying to, and the doctor said it's not going to take a day, even though for a day I was like, wow, I feel like I'm back. It probably took about 90 days of intense rest, healing, supplementation.
Yeah.
I mean, physically now, I've been working out more in the last 9 to 12 months than I have in years because
Now
I
you're
feel good.
impacting maxes.
Now I feel great,
Yeah.
and mentally and physically I know what's going on. By the way, I never had the surgery.
Yeah.
If you take an X-ray and MRI of my back, it's still the same.
Yeah.
How do you be like? Well, how explain that? I can't explain it other than I've had a lot of treatments, and divinely, I believe that prayer works.
Exactly.
I'm going to have a surgery someday, and I'm okay with that. But right now, I've been on this mission for about 9 months of what we're doing and how the world right now needs more light than ever before. I believe.
For every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows.
Yeah.
I believe, yes.
I believe that I was broken for a reason.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be broken. No one wants to be broken. But I believe that one of the reasons why I was broken at that pivotal time was for God to use me in a way that I don't even know yet now where it's going to happen. But I hope when I'm 98 years old and I look back and say, it makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Because now in retrospect, 25 years ago, I got into the fitness industry because of a broken back that ended my football career because I want to be an NFL quarterback. I go into fitness, and 25 years later, I'm thinking about tapping out, like going to the mountains of Montana and chilling and saying, I'm done. Yeah. And it was really just a reignition into the next iteration, and it's why I'm starting the book with the crest of the wave determines the depth of the valley. The depth of the valley determines the crest of the wave, and that's from my good friend, Pastor David Jeremiah. The book starts that way because I've had a lot of crests, and let me tell you, I've tasted the valley for a long time, and I sat in that valley and prayed and thought and wrote and journaled all of these things, not knowing what the next step was going to be. And it wasn't until really August, September of 2023 when things really started to come to a head, and I started to really heat up on where is this supposed to take me.
Yeah, that's not not a year yet.
No,
that's
now
not.
you're,
Yeah.
Now
No,
you're
it's
now,
9 months.
Now you've got tons of people behind you. You've
Thank
got
you.
You're impacted.
Thank you.
I love the impact because he's full of impact.
Yes.
And and now you're going to pass that on, right?
He is
Well, that's
passing
what
it on.
pass it on.
He is.
That's what pass it on
Passing
is,
it
and
on.
sometimes passing it on means you don't even know. Like you've got to go through this dark trial, tribulation. It might last 3 months. It might last 3 weeks. It might last 3 years. It might last longer. But when you're going through it, you got to keep going. And passing it on is exactly that.
That's helping so many people today, right, Greg?
Absolutely.
Because they think they're the only person, you know. There's a lot of times when you think you're the only person, you know, but you are getting to the people out there who are ready to give up, and you're so dynamic with what you have to say that they say, well, if he doesn't give up, I'm going to try. I'm not going to give up.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's a great point, Elaine. I think it's important, Todd, to talk about, you know, you're known as the get your mind right guy. And when people watching this are struggling, and then they see the vulnerability from Todd Durkin, the get your mind right guy, they see that he is real, he's gone through it, he can empathize with them. I think that's an important thing,
That's
that
right.
vulnerability.
Yeah.
And as Jack said, everything starts between your
Ears.
ears.
Yes.
And so it's, you know, if your mind tells you, oh, well, it's time to give up, or your mind can tell you, it's time to go on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you got to go on.
And sometimes your wife can say, let's stop the
yeah,
party
right.
and push you to get on. And I think that's what happened. Hey, how did we get to the book? How did we get to, what made you decide, I need to share this experience with the world? I need to be vulnerable. I need to let them hear my story. How did that happen?
I'll answer that in a couple ways, but one of the things you just said, maybe pick up my phone here, because this is an example of even just yesterday, and I responded here today on my community text. It's been a rough, this is from a follower, it's been a rough week here. Lost a friend and coworker to suicide the day before I volunteered at a mental health education day. Rocky week of emotions and feeling grateful for the mentors in my life. Just wanted to say thank you for being one of them.
See,
That's impact.
That every day keeps me going. I need one.
Yeah.
I need one of these to just, this morning in Jack's gym, your gym, LaLanne, I left him a message and thanking him for sharing with me, because if I get one of those a day, that's not good, but it allows me to serve my mission of like that. Yeah. That's why I exist. So when you ask, about how did I know it was a book, when you talk about vulnerability and that, I don't know when it was, but I knew, and from some of the journaling that I had done throughout this, because I was journaling a lot, I had not one but two pastors, more than two, but two pastors very close to my life, feeding me, and at some point, it was, I've got to share this because of messages like that that were coming in. That's only one, or tomorrow I'll get another one. Today I'll get one. So that's okay. How do we really share? Because our good friend Dave Sider, everyone's got something. Yeah. Everyone's got something, but no one wants to say something. I didn't want to say my back's hurting. I don't want to be your problem. I got enough problems, so I don't want to burden you. People don't want to burden them. But guess what? Someone popped themselves the other day, just like I'm counseling a young man right now who is struggling with life.
You're feeding from each other.
100%.
Yes.
And I've learned that when you're vulnerable, because in my podcast, when I shared, last year, right before I did all of this stuff, I shared about my back. It was a floodgate of people sharing, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were going through that. Yeah. I'm like, wait, am I being a hypocrite? Because if you think I'm a Pollyanna up here just preaching, hey, get your mind right, get your mind right. And they're like, I don't relate to that because Todd's always got his mind right. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm the one who's battling as hard as anyone else. So join in and let's battle our minds, get our bodies right, get our souls right. Get down on your knees, and sometimes you're going to be broken. Keep going.
Yeah. The first time I discovered that was after my daughter was in an automobile and I lost her. And John was only 9 and he was playing baseball. And a lady came up to me and she put a hand on me and she said, I'm so sorry. I know how you feel because I lost my daughter. And, it really made me, I have, chills just thinking about it because she says, I know how you feel. And that's what you were just saying too.
That's it.
You feed from each other. And she gave me such a good, she gave me a feeling that, gee, other people have gone through this and they've come through. I can do it too.
I call them God winks. Like when quote, random people show up in your life like that woman did for you, 60 years later, you remember that.
I do.
I know.
Yeah, I do.
Right?
That's one of the things that's stand out in my life.
And that's impact. And listen, I think, a random woman, she wasn't random. Random is nothing more than a miracle where God wants to remain anonymous. That's what random is. Yeah. Well, it's random that this person came in my life. No, it's not random. It's a miracle where God wants to remain anonymous. That's a miracle that person came in and spoke life in you at that time. You come across a podcast. You come across a book. You come across an event. You come across something like, wow, I need to be at that. That's not a random thing. I don't think there's random. When you look back, you're like, wow, that woman happened to come speak life into you at just that time when you got that treacherous news. That's not random. That's a miracle.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jack used to say, life is full of miracles.
Life is
Just
full
have
of
to-
miracles. Yes.
You have
Man.
to realize when you get them.
Yeah.
Man, Jack, we need more Jack. He was a pioneer. That guy's way before his time.
Tell
Did I
us-
answer your question? I
Yeah,
remember that.
totally.
Tell us about the impact, right? About his impact.
Oh yeah, you know what? So Todd also has an Impact Summit coming up, and it is in June or July of 2024.
Yeah.
And tell us about
Well, it's
that.
July 11th to the 14th. It overlaps the same time as the Jumping Jack World Record Challenge we're all going to do on July 12th. So make sure you're part of that,
Well,
right?
it's going to be an exciting time. I can't
Oh,
wait.
it's going to be crazy.
Everybody I talk to, they all want to come to your impact,
Yes.
and they want to come to the
Jumping
Jumping
Jack
Jack.
Challenge.
Be in the room. Be in the room. Just be in the room.
July 12th.
Yep.
At 1:00 p.m. is the Jumping Jack Challenge.
That's right.
Todd's
The world,
Impact
yes.
Summit. Yes, we're breaking a world record of 2,000.
Yeah, at the idea of 2,251. It was done in
2,251
Poland.
jumping jacks.
Yeah, and we want to beat it.
Yeah.
And then his impact is
Yeah.
on the 11th, right?
The
11th to the 14th, same time, adjacent with Idea World.
Yeah.
So it's going to be crazy. The energy is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Be part of the festivities, no
Yeah.
doubt
Yeah,
about
I
it.
hope everybody will sign
Oh, they
up
will.
and
Oh,
they
sign
will,
in.
they will.
But when you ask
Absolutely.
about impact and the summit, it's funny. People are like, man, you got a lot going on. I'm like, things are just happen to hit right all at the same time for me. And again, this isn't my time. It's timing that just is divine. That we've got 3 things that are hitting right now. We got the book coming out. We've got the Impact Summit in July, and then all of this has happened because I just recently announced my big news that.
Yeah.
That.
Tell them.
You talk about impact.
Yeah.
I never desired this until after I got clarity about 9 months ago with everything and going through that 3.5 year battle or journey. But we just announced that Impact is going to be a franchise, and it's a fitness franchise. It's Impact X Performance.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
And then
exciting.
and it's all starting at Idea World. Is it,
Well, that's one of the kickoff. That's one of our first events on that. But here, as we record this in May of 2024, it's been 9 months of hard work, but I've never felt so inspired. I feel like it's year 2000 when I was starting Fitness Plus 10.
Sure.
It's like a 24-year startup
Yeah.
here because it's a miracle of who's come into my life over a decade of people converging into one. And Impact X Performance, really all it is it's about being a light in the community and how we're going to bring lighthouses into communities throughout not only the U.S. but eventually North America and eventually the world. But it's fitness, recovery, life coaching, and faith. Faith, fitness, life coaching, and recovery. And I'm really excited to converge all these things because right now in a time of darkness with a lot of craziness,
faith, fitness, and fun.
there you go. Well, there'll be a lot of fun, a lot of working out, and a lot of mindset stuff because a lot of faith.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is one of the things. And here's people like, well, you have to be of faith to work out in the gym. I'm like, no. If you choose that you want that, we have opportunities for people if you'd like to. We have a Sweat and Soul Saturday where if you want, you work out. If you want to stick around after, I've got to have devotionals. And there's already 6 locations, soon to be many more. And there's opportunities. I'm going to preach a message every Sunday delivered worldwide to our franchisees. And then there's opportunities throughout the week where I'll have daily devotionals that we've got going on. But that's if you opt in.
Yeah.
You don't have to opt in. Yeah. We're going to have people of Christian faith, Jewish faith. We'll have all religion. It's not about religion. Right. It's not about religion. I want to make that
clear.
It's
about believing.
Absolutely.
Believing in the higher power.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. And it's the one thing today that I feel in today's crazy, chaotic times that is missing, and I'm being called, and I believe that's why God took me to my knees and broke me to say, all right, young man, You think you have it all together? Let me break you, mold you, and then I'm going to call you to not get away from fitness and go live in the mountains. I'm going to call you to go deeper, and you're going to serve with fitness and recovery and all the life coaching that you're doing. And yes, we're going to talk about faith. And if you want to be part of it, great. And if you don't want to, that's okay. The sense of peace I have with it all, I've never felt, it's okay. I'm going to serve my mission. Because at the end of the day, what do you want? Well done, good and faithful servant. Yeah. This time on earth is far shorter than time in eternity. And I know that's what God has broken me for, so I can then go serve and impact millions of people. Because now is the time in schools, in universities, in communities that need hope, that need motivation. Now's the time.
They need to get back their fitness. They need to get back their breathing.
Yeah,
you got to get their breathing back.
It's called impact breath.
And you breathe better when you exercise more. And even if you do this, if you're sitting, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, I can't do it because I got a bad back." Well, you could work around. Work around.
You find a way.
Always work around your injuries. You know, you can.
Look at you. You're still doing it. You work out most days.
I'm working around my injuries.
Yeah. But you do it. 98. It's easy to say, "Nah, I'm 98. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm tired." Yeah. And you're out here working out, doing something every day.
Yes, I am. I keep this going. I keep this. I always have a project, and I think if you at your age always have a project,
she wears
me out because we do a lot of projects together.
Exactly.
There's the quote of the whole show. I got so much to do. I can't die.
Exactly.
Jack, I can't die.
It would ruin my reputation. I can't die. It would ruin my reputation. That is so true. I love studying, and I know everyone listening in today knows the story of Jack LaLanne and LaLanne. But for those people who may be new, please Google Jack LaLanne. You got to Google. There's so many good things that Greg, you are doing. Obviously, LaLanne, that you're doing.
Honestly, I don't know. Especially younger people,
exactly.
They say, I don't. Who is Jack LaLanne?
Yep.
Well, I said, look him up on the internet, and then you can find out a little about him.
Then we'll talk.
Yeah, but it's guys like Jack LaLanne. We need more men like that, more women like that are out there really dedicated, prophesizing about what health and fitness can do for your life. It'll change the life. It'll change the world.
You know, people think, I'm not going to work out for an hour, or I'm not going to do this. Well, okay, we'll just go for. I never worked out longer than 20 minutes. One time, 1.5 hours, but all my life I've never worked out more than 20 minutes.
Worked out pretty good for her, hasn't it?
You ain't kidding. It has. Yeah. And I think that's a great point, Elaine. Is sometimes people think working out and they equate it to pain. Yeah. They equate it to I don't have the time for that. And what you've always said is just integrate it into your lifestyle. It could be a walk. It could be breath work. Yes, you absolutely prioritize that time. Yeah. And whether that's early morning like I like to do, if it's late, it doesn't matter when. Get it in.
That's right. It doesn't matter when.
Get it in. So anyway, those are some of the things I've got going on with the book, the franchise, the Impact Summit. And I'll end with this, and any other question you have is, impact to me, and this is how when you think about your goals, your dreams, your visions, anyone listening in today, the story starts in the book with not just a quote, but in 2010, 14 years ago, when my first book was written, was called The Impact Body Plan. I walked into this building in New York City, downtown New York City, beautiful building. I walk in, I meet with the president and CEO of Rodale Books, Men's Health, and I was so excited because what we were going to do is get ready to launch Impact Body Plan into the world. I had already written the book. We're 6 weeks away from going to print. And I walk in this guy's office. I'm young, and Drew had just won the Super Bowl. Breeze had just won the Super Bowl, and he wrote the foreword. I'm on top of the world, the crest of the wave. Yeah. I walk in, and he says, by the way, our executives have talked, and we're not going to print with the book called The Impact Body Plan. I was like, what? He's like, well, I hear impact, I think car crash. I'm like, car crash? I just wrote my entire legacy that I have this far, the Impact Body Plan, in 10 weeks. What are you talking about? I've killed myself for 10 weeks. He goes, sorry, we're not going to print with the Impact Body Plan. It's this book right here. And all over his office, he has this book. The cover of the book, well, with the Impact pose, it with a different title. I said, it's not that title, it's Impact. He said, sorry, you want a book deal? It's called this. I said, peace, I'm out.
Yeah.
I left. And guess what?
That's happened. I've been there, done that stuff.
But there's more to this. We're going to do a Paul Harvey right here, because tell us what the name of the book that they had for you was.
14 years later, True Strength is coming out.
Oh.
He had the book title then called True Strength. All over his 2010, True Strength is all over his office.
Yeah.
I'm like, True Strength? This is Impact Body Plan. This isn't True Strength. He said, what do you mean it's not True Strength? This is a great 10-week exercise program.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't True Strength. He said, sorry, if you want to go to deal, it's called True Strength.
Yeah.
I said, sorry, I'm out.
Yep.
I left. I flew back to San Diego, and my life was flashing before me. Moral of the story is this. True Strength is coming out. And I didn't know then what true strength was. I'm at a high of highs, the crest. I hadn't been broken yet. I hadn't been broken like that.
Mental, physical, and spiritual.
That's it.
Yep.
It's all of it.
Yep.
But the moral of the story is this. Whenever you're making a big decision in life, what does your gut say? What does your intuition say? What all of a sudden is this flash of brilliance that comes over to you that you say no when you should say yes? Or 99% of the world would say, of course I'll change. That's okay. There was something inside of me that was like, it's not true strength.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This isn't true strength.
Well, tell us about being true strength. Where did all your knowledge come from? You got a PhD, right? And so a lot of people say, well, he's just an exercise guy and he took a course and whatever. But you took longer courses than just a short little course. So I think we should let people know about that. You know what you're talking about. What I'm trying to say is you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not just being around, because obviously being around lends experience, but I think it's being a lifelong learner like you, LaLanne, and Greg, a lifelong learner that it never stops, between courses, between workshops, between practice and doing what you go out there and you learn in the trenches, because it's not just book knowledge, it's actually applicable knowledge as well. I've always loved studying and reading. To this day, if I'm not, I feel like I'm getting dry. I feel like I'm not able to really delve into the depth that I want. Like, I still love healing. I love healing. That's why I went to massage therapy school in the 90s. I'm intrigued with the Western world of sport and training the highest and best athletes in the world at a level that involves the most advanced technologies. But at the same time, I've always been intrigued on the other side of healing and breath work and meditation and soul and spirit, and how almost like the Eastern philosophy blends into that.
You have been through it.
Well,
You've been through it. And,
yes.
and you can tell people about it, because I've been there, done that.
Yep.
You know, Jack was one who, a lot of people say, well, what does he know? He's just an exercise guy. Well, he was, had studied like you, he Gray's Anatomy, and then became a chiropractor and couldn't practice because he the medical profession, he was already in his gym then.
That's it.
So, it's you know what you're. That's when it's important. A lot of people, they don't know what he's talking about. Yes, they do. Yeah. Yes, you do.
Well, I love, and we'll kind of wrap up with this, but I love what Jack LaLanne said about that. He said, they used to call me a quack and a charlatan, but now they call me the authority.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of where we end up with that. And a little bit ago, I referenced Paul Harvey. For those of you younger ones, he would always wrap up his segment on the radio by saying, and now you know the rest of the story. But so now, if you are struggling and feeling like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulder, just know, I think it was Winston Churchill said that if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yep.
And get to the other side. Know that there are guys out there like Todd Durkin. There are guys like Greg, and there are wonderful women like LaLanne that are there rooting for you and helping you and wanting to help you to get to the other side. This podcast went exactly like I thought it would. I knew that we would get into some deep topics, and we did.
Yep.
And Todd, you've been a very special brother in my life, and I thank you so much. Tell people where they can find out more about you and just learn about what you've got going on.
Yeah, well, as far as that, I mean, my website, todddurkin.com. Obviously, you can pick up True Strength on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, get True Strength.
Coming out when?
Well, it's by the time people listen to this, it'll be hopefully out. Well, it'll come out officially June 18th. It's available here end of May of 2024. But go to todddurkin.com. I love social media, Instagram, just my name at Todd Durkin. Any social media, check it out. Reach out to me. I've got a text community, like I just read here, a text community, and I am on that. I'm the one. I don't have someone else.
You answer
respond.
questions.
I answer questions, and
I love
to give it to you,
questions and answers.
I'll give you the number right now. It's 619-304-2216. 619-304-2216. That is my cell number. That's my cell number. Like I just read that text right here. That's my cell number. You got it. And it will be me personally responding. When you got questions, you got needs. My soul is fueled up by that, by giving back. And I love when people reach out and connect. I always say, be in the room, be live in the room. If you're contemplating it right now with, where the next step, right? I lost my mojo. I feel like I need to get some more momentum back in my life. Show up at the Impact Summit. Show up at a live event. And I'll just end it with this. Greg was sharing our relationship. Make sure the right people are in your life, because guys like Greg Justice has been by my side for many years, and to be in the trenches with guys like Greg and Travis, our old P10ers, and Jeff, and the guys that I'm around at the FQ10 side, like some of these folks, man, they not only help you when times are good, they help you when times are bad, and when times are bad for them, and you can be there for them as well. So I thank you and LaLanne for just being beacons of light in everything that you guys do every day, every single day, and how you show up. And I'm grateful for that. I'm really excited in this time of our lives in this world that I believe so desperately needs light. I think there's people that are going to be showing up that are going to be extinguishing the darkness and putting more light in. And it's people like Jack LaLanne and LaLanne that started this whole thing in the 1930s, getting us going.
I was 10.
Yeah, you were 10, but little did you know what Jack had up his sleeve.
Exactly.
And then with the show for 34 years and everything that you guys have done, and Greg with Scripter Publishing and AYC and all that we've done together. I'm so excited for what's about to come. And remember, it all starts way back of remembering who started it all. And I'm grateful. As an athlete myself and working with some of the best in the world, I know like what the NFL Shield means. To me, the fitness industry, it's a very dangerous time right now, because people forget where this thing all started from and the people that helped start it. We can't forget that. And as new generations come up here, we gotta make sure that they remember where it started, where it's going, and why it's going there, and how we can be light into the world as well.
Tell us now about your impact. The dates again. Let's give them the dates.
We'll
An
close it out.
Idea World
Yep.
Convention between the 11th and the 14th
of July.
At the convention center. It's
Yep.
Idea World.
Yep.
And now give them the rest of the
The Todd Durkin Impact Summit, Los Angeles Convention Center, July 11th through 14th, 2024.
And that Jumping Jack Challenge is on the
Jack
next
Challenge.
day
12.
at 12 noon.
Yes.
Be there.
Be there.
1 o'clock.
I mean, that's right. 1 o'clock.
You can start your jumping jacks at 12
Yes,
noon.
be warm.
It's on the 12th at 1. So just know that. You can start your jumping jacks at 12 noon.
No,
Nothing wrong with
it's
that.
1 o'clock.
Correct. 1 o'clock West Coast, 4 o'clock on the East Coast. We'll be doing some jumping jacks. Make sure you're there. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Todd. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Todd.
Appreciate it.
Of course.
Hey, remember, the LaLanne Pass It On podcast is about passing on Jack's message of helping people help themselves.